Today is the 6th of December 2023, and this is our 13th video on past papers. Okay, this is also a past paper question which I would like to share with you. Thank you to everyone who have subscribed to our channel. Okay, if you haven't done so already, can you please consider subscribing and then sharing, liking and following us. Okay, and also leave us some nice comments. I'll really appreciate that. I normally write, please follow my notes/scripts in the comment section. Okay, like today, what we are going to do is important for you to follow the note. So this is RS plus 2. So if you hear anything apart from what is on my note, go by the notes. And then with subscribing, if the account is not yours, please ask for permission. Okay, beware of scammers. I can't stop emphasizing this enough, including myself. Okay, somebody might drop you a note and then maybe you in your good conscience think I'm just replying, but actually at the end they are just looking for one thing. Okay, if you give them that, then they will just go off and do whatever they want. Okay, so that is why if the account is not yours, ask for permission or ask somebody to help you open your own account. It's very important. Now please watch last video for recap, because we are looking at different topics and some of the questions I just took them directly, like today, from the past paper, and I solve it and try to explain to you as simple as I can. Okay, so far all the questions I've brought is a higher paper and it's a calculator paper, and I think most of the questions are fairly easy and straightforward. Okay, so just this thing, and I could use your help in following my notes/scripts. Okay, now I'll start out today, make P the subject. Okay, so we had a question that we had to make H the subject. So I thought I'll go back and just show you, if they say make P the subject, your final equation should be P equals to something. If they say make A the subject, your final equation should be A equals to something. Okay, so look at the first one. PH equals RS plus 2. Okay, so now to make P the subject, I need to divide both sides by H. If I get rid of this H, then P can be the subject. So PH is multiplying here, so it will come and divide here, and not just RS, the whole of RS plus 2. Okay, so now P equals RS plus 2 as the numerator over H. Okay, now the second part, make S the subject. Okay, so your final answer should be X equals to something. Okay, now if you look carefully, this is the equation of a straight line. Okay, x m is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. We've done videos on this. Okay, now mx, if you take c to this side, it will be y minus c. So mx equals y minus c. We are making s the subject. So now x here, x, like in x-ray, will be equal to y minus c all over m, because we need to divide both sides by m. M is not going to divide only y, it will divide y minus c. Okay, so if we do that, x becomes y minus c all over m. Make r the subject. So our final answer again should be r equals something. This is where r is. So the first step is I'll take z or z to the other side. So 2rs will be equal to q minus z. Okay, now we want to make r the subject, so we need to divide both sides by 2s. So if we divide this side by 2s, r becomes the subject, but 2s now is going to divide q minus z over 2s. So we need to divide 2s by everything here, not just the q and not just the z. Okay, now 4, make a the subject. So now we are expecting an answer which will be a equals something. Now this is straightforward because we only need to get rid of p. P is multiplying, so if we divide both sides, we can get rid of the p. So a will be b plus c for our numerator all over p. Make c the subject. Okay, so our answer should be c equals to something, but there's a -1 attached to our c. If we take -1, so it's not always multiplying, it can add, it can divide, it can subtract. Okay, so -1, if it goes the other side, it becomes +1. So to make c the subject, we take -1, or we add 1 to both sides. So now c is on its own. We have 2x plus 5 plus 1, which 5 plus 1 is 6. So c will be 2x plus 6. We can leave our answer as this, or with 2 is a common factor. So we have 2 all into brackets s plus 3, because if we multiply this step back, then we go back to this step. Okay, so this is the starter, making the subject. If you take it step by step, okay, you should be able to do it fairly. Now today we are going to look at some equation. Okay, now this is an example. A rectangle of card 20 centimeters by 10 centimeters is used to make a cylinder. You remember I did a video on cylinder yesterday, I think, or a day after yesterday, there was a video about a cylinder. Okay, Now, this is the shape of the rectangle, and they folded it into a cylinder like this. Okay, it's not overlapping. Okay, so it means that from here to there is 20 centimeters, which is the circumference. Okay, and the width is 10. So they've used this card to make this cylinder. Okay, and the shape of the card here is 10 by 20 in centimeters. The same card rectangle, because if you find the area of both rectangle, the area will be the same. Okay, so this one also, now in this form, the first one is in this form. Okay, and the other one is also 20 by 10, and they've also made a cylinder out of that. Okay, but this time around the long part, and it's not overlapping. Okay, so fairly, what you can see, this from here to here is 10 centimeters, and from there to there is 20 centimeters. So the circumference of this will be 20 centimeters, and the circumference of this, okay, if you go all around, will be 10 centimeters. Okay, so now if that is the case, this radius here is half of that, half of A. Now the question goes on to say, so I've just explained the question to you. Okay, and the question goes on to say, the cylinder they made out of the same card with the same area, they filled it with clay. Okay, which tube will use more clay? Okay, and show working. So now, assuming you are working the clay factory, you want to find out whether this tube A, if you put your product in this shape or in that shape, okay, which one is going to take more? Okay, so here you want to find out which one will use more clay, assuming you are selling them, and you should show working. So here you can decide to use you work out your answer and then compare. Okay, the simplest way I think I would do is to find the volume, because it is a volume question. They are filling the cylinder with volume. Okay, now the radius of A here, okay, that radius of this cylinder will represent it by RA, and then the radius of B by RB. So radius of A, RA, and radius of B, RB. But if you look at the diagram, the radius of A will be half of the radius of B, because this is 10 centimeters and that will be 20 centimeters. So if I fold it that way and it doesn't overlap, my radius, this one, will be twice as much as this. Okay, so that is the first thing you should note about the question. Okay, so now we know that the volume to find a cylinder is pi r squared h. To find any cylinder, So if I want to find the volume of the first one, the one with the shorter cylinder, okay, I have RA squared HA. Now here my height will be 10 centimeters, but my radius will be twice. Okay, so now if the height is 10 centimeters and I substitute it in the equation, then I have pi r squared, which is my first radius, 10. So in effect, my volume will be 10 pi r squared. So the volume of the first cylinder that I need to put clay in will be 10 pi r squared. But if you look at the second one, okay, this is the first one. The second one, the radius is half, but the height is 20. So you can see that I've done here. So the volume of the second one will also be pi r squared hb. Our h here is 20. Okay, so if I put 20, okay, in place of hb, okay, and I substitute half ra for my radius, because this radius here is half of the a, okay, then I have my volume will be pi half ra squared hb. Okay, the volume of the second one will be pi rb, which is the radius of the second one, and the height. Now the height is 20, okay, and then the radius rb is half of ra. Okay, so the volume of the second cylinder will be pi, if this radius, if I put half ra, I have 1/4 ra all squared times my height 20. Now 1/4 of 20 will be 5. So the volume of the second cylinder will be 5 pi r squared. Now if I look at my volume for the first part, if I put in clay, I'm going to take 10 pi r squared. The second one, if I put in the clay, I'll need a volume. It will get a volume of 5 pi r squared. So if I compare both, pi r squared, because I've substituted ra for rb, I've made it half. So now the r's are the same. Okay, so the volume of A and the volume of B. So the volume of A will be 10 pi r squared, and the volume of B will be 5 r squared, which is half. Okay, so now you can see that the volume of A, this one, even though there is the same card, turn the other way, that will take more clay, and the second one will take half of that. So if it is a marketing thing, we'll rather go with this shape, okay, than this shape. So they said I should show working. So I've just showed working that the volume, the first one, will take more clay using volume. Okay, now the second part of the question that I have for you, this is also an exam paper. it says use algebra to work out the x coordinates of the point of intersection. Okay, now this is a quadratic equation. It will be a curve 10 upwards because the x squared is positive. That will be a straight line. So if I draw it on the graph, I'm going to get a curve, a parabola, and a straight line. But they are not asking me to draw a graph. Okay, they are asking me to work out with algebra, and then the answer I should only give the x coordinates. Okay, they are not asking me to give the all the coordinates. Okay, so now if y equals 3x squared and y equals 4x plus 2, okay, and they said give your answer to one decimal place. So if y in both cases are this, then I can equate both. Okay, so if I equate both, I have 3x squared equals 4x plus 2. Now 3x squared minus 4x minus 2, assuming I bring this equation to that side, will be equal to 0. I tested it, but I couldn't solve it directly, so I'm going to use the quadratic equation, which is on your flashcard. So now that I've put the equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, I can use my quadratic equation, which you have on your flashcard, okay, which is x equals minus b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, a is never equals to 0, because if a is 0, then you have bx plus c. You can use this equation here. If you compare, a is 3, so that is a equals 3. B is minus 4. B is minus 4 there. C is minus 2. C is minus 2. So I'm going to substitute this into this equation and find the values of x, because the question says find the values of x. Okay, the x coordinates. They didn't ask me to find the y coordinates. Okay, so now a is 3, so minus b. B is minus 4, so minus b becomes 4, plus or minus the square root of minus b, no, the square of minus 4, the square root of minus b, which is minus 4, and then minus 4, a is 3, c is minus 2, all over 2a, a is 3 again. Now, in the square root minus 4 squared is 16. 4 times 3 is 12. Times 2 is 24. Minus minus will make it positive. So I have 16 plus 24. So now I have 4 plus or minus 16 plus 24 gave me 40. All over 2a. 2a is 3, so 6. So that will be 6. And that will be 6 here. So here now, for the square root of 40, 2 decimal places will be 6.32. Remember, they said leave your answer to 1 decimal place. That was what the original question said. So I have one of the x coordinates to be 4 plus 6.32 over 6, and the other one will be 4 minus 6.32 over 6. Now if you do that rightly on the calculator, you get two values of x, this x, okay, 1.72 or minus 0.39. But it says leave your answer to one decimal place. So one decimal place of 1.72 will be 1.7. One decimal place of minus 0.39 will be minus 0.4. These are the x coordinates. So you leave your answer this way. Okay, but I just went on to do a little bit further. Okay, so assuming they ask you to leave your answer as coordinates, then you got x, the first one, for 1.7, or if you had drawn a curve and a straight line, you are going to get the x values as 1.7 and minus 0.4 as we just found. Okay, but if I want to go further and find the coordinates, okay, now I'll put x back into one of the equations I was given. So I put it back in the straight line. So I have y equals 1.7 plus 2. So y will be 6.8 plus 2. Remember, this is a calculator paper. Okay, so you can use your calculator. So if you do that, y will be 8.8. So when x is 1.7, y will be 8.8. So assuming I was drawing a graph, a curve and a straight line, the first point of intersection will be x 1.7 and y 8.8. Okay, but we're not asked to put it as coordinates. We're just asked to leave it at the x coordinate to one decimal place. So we don't need to do this extra work. I'm just trying to explain to you. Okay, because some of these things, because if you get questions like this, at times it's good to explain, because maybe in your time they might give you the same equation and they might ask you to leave the answer as coordinates. Okay, so if you leave guess the x value, then you are wrong. So read the question. What are they asking me to do? They've asked you to leave it in one decimal place. Then you put your x value. Then you move on. But assuming in another question, they ask you to leave it as coordinate, this is what you are going to do. Okay, so I'm using this question to go a bit further. Okay, and then show you if they ask that. Now, the second value of x to one decimal place is minus 0.4. So y equals 4 minus 0.4 plus 2. Okay, if you do that again on the calculator, you get minus 1.6 plus 2, which is 0.4. So when x is minus 0.4, y will be 0.4. Okay, so in this case, assuming you plot the graph and you were asked to leave your answer as coordinate, then this is what you do. Or if you had plotted the graph, you are going to get values, a coordinates, two coordinates in this form. Okay, so Thank you so much for watching our video today, and I'll see you in the next.